MSBA, where Minnesota school boards learn to lead.
Welcome to MSBA's legislative update for Thursday, March 7th. We are 10 weeks into the session, and there are approximately 10 weeks remaining in the session, so we are at the midpoint. Governor Walz released his budget a couple weeks ago with a heavy emphasis on K-12 investments. Also, a forecast was released at the end of February called the February forecast that identified approximately $492 less in revenue for the state. So a $1.5 billion surplus in November is approximately at $1 billion in February. But I would argue that our point needs to be made that investments in K-12 and the needs for our districts and students should still be at the front of the line in terms of our advocacy efforts. A heavy emphasis on the Gen Ed formula, and he puts approximately $523 million in the Gen Ed formula, which gives us 3% in the first year of the biennium and 2% in the second year of the biennium. And remember, MSBA was asking for 3 and 3 plus inflation. He also puts $59 million into the voluntary pre-K, as well as $77 million into the special ed cross subsidy, which is again a top priority for MSBA. Another item that is of interest for our school boards is the renewal of operating referendums at the current amount. And Governor Walz has that in his proposal, and that would provide some cost savings to our school districts. But one piece that's in there is a reverse referendum that would allow your community to undo a renewal if the board took action on it. And we are not comfortable with that piece at this point. Also puts $26 million into the safe school levy by increasing the levy amount as well as setting the floor for a minimum for our school districts. And also expands or continues the investment in our regional centers of excellence, and also provides some money to expand full-service community schools. In last week's Weekly Advocate, we asked you to reach out to your legislators and encourage them to support our paperwork reduction within the framework of special ed. Really, the emphasis here is reduce some of the pieces around the requirements for our teachers and let our special ed teachers teach. And so we ask you to continue to push that issue. It's not going to reduce the programs or the opportunities for our special needs students, but it's going to enhance the opportunities for our teachers. Also, to date, there are a number of other priorities. The House heard a bill this week that deals with the school board special elections. Grace Kelleher testified in support of going back to the ability of our boards to appoint for vacancies until the next election cycle. Also, a bill seeking significant changes to the recently implemented tiered licensure was heard this week, and MSBA got up and spoke on behalf of many of our other ed organizations, as well as MSBA, is to say, wait, this thing has not been fully implemented. Let's let this thing be implemented for a year and then review, and if there's any changes, come forward with those. There have been several bills heard in the House that would mandate various curriculums as well, from civics to personal finance to cursive to sex ed. So their ability to ask us to do things without providing money is still there. Each bill had lengthy hearings, passionate testimony from both sides, and MSBA was quoted in several news outlets identifying that local control is really, really an important piece for our school boards and superintendents, because they are the ones in the community, they are the ones closest to the action, and they make better decisions based on that. Other mandated proposals that we see coming down the track include screening for dyslexia every year from kindergarten through second grade, testing and reporting radon in school buildings, licensing changes to community ed and ECFE teachers that would provide continuing contracts to those teachers. MSBA testified in opposition to that. Threat assessment team requirements that are just beginning their discussions, as well as one of the topics that is on everybody's mind, dealing with the snow days. And this is really an exception to a mandate, and this would give school districts flexibility and excuse those days that were canceled due to winter or cold conditions. MSBA's Weekly Advocate provides you with a summary of all of the bill introductions and the schedule of what bills will be coming forward. One last reminder, MSBA's Day at the Capitol is coming up on Monday, March 25th. Please take time to make your reservations, make your appointments to join us to learn about what's happening in St. Paul, because what happens in St. Paul impacts your district. So your voice as a school board member needs to be heard. So make those appointments as soon as possible and plan to join us on Monday, March 25th. Thanks for taking the time out of your schedule and to listening to the MSBA's Legislative Update.
MSBA, where Minnesota school boards learn to lead.